The most terrifying enemy of your longevity is not sugar, cholesterol, or a lack of exercise. It is the deafening, heavy silence inside your own home. I remember the evening when that silence almost stopped my heart. I was 68 years old, sitting at a perfectly set table in my spacious, spotless apartment. In front of me was a plate of an impeccably healthy dinner that I had prepared strictly according to my cardiologist's recommendations. But I couldn't swallow a single bite. I stared at the empty chair across from me, listened to the monotonous ticking of the wall clock, and suddenly realized with terrifying, icy clarity that I had not spoken a single word out loud for 4 days. My name is Ryota. I spent my entire life working hard, building a home, raising my children, and saving money for retirement, firmly believing that this was what security meant. But when my children grew up and scattered in different directions, starting their own families in other cities, and my wife passed away, I faced something no one had prepared me for. Doctors call it the dry medical term empty nest syndrome, but those words don't even come close to describing the physical crushing pain in your chest when you wake up in the morning and realize that in the entire world there isn't a single person who needs your presence right now. You become invisible. I obsessively monitored my health, measured my blood pressure, swallowed vitamins, but every month I felt worse. My hands began to tremble. At night, I struggled to breathe during panic attacks, and inside me settled a deep black exhaustion, so heavy that sometimes I didn't even want to get out of bed.
I thought it was the end, that old age simply meant slowly fading away, alone within 4 walls, and that there was nothing I could do about it. But everything changed when, on the advice of an old acquaintance, I decided to change my surroundings and spend several months in Okinawa, a small island in southern Japan. I rented a tiny house by the sea, hoping that the fresh air would at least calm my nerves a little. And there I saw something that completely transformed my understanding of life, health, and the human body. One early morning, I walked down to the shore. It was drizzling and the air was cool. Suddenly, I heard loud, booming laughter. Under a shelter near the boat station sat a group of elderly men. They were well into their 80s, and some, as I later learned, were even in their 90s. They weren't talking about illnesses, they weren't complaining about the weather, and they weren't sitting there with dull, lifeless eyes. They were arguing loudly, slapping each other on the shoulders, pouring tea from a large thermos, and cleaning freshly caught fish. There was such incredible pulsing life in their movements, something I hadn't felt inside myself for at least 10 years. The contrast took my breath away. I stood off to the side, hiding beneath my umbrella, feeling tears run down my cheeks. I envied them so intensely that it physically hurt. One of them, an old man with incredibly deep wrinkles and clear, laughing eyes, noticed me. He didn't simply give me a polite nod from a distance. He waved me over and shouted for me to come under the shelter. His name was Daiki. That day, he poured me a cup of hot tea and told me the great secret of Okinawa, a secret that Western medicine is only now beginning to discover. He said, "Ryota, you can eat nothing but seaweed and run 10 kilometers a day, but if you have no one to share your dinner with, your heart will still stop from loneliness." These elderly men weren't simply neighbors or casual acquaintances. They are what people in Okinawa call Moai. A Moai isn't a hobby club or a casual social group. It is a strong, unbreakable social bond, a support group that is often formed in childhood and maintained throughout life. These elderly men met every day. They shared their joys, mourned those they had lost together, and helped each other through financial problems. They knew that no matter what happened tomorrow, they would never be alone. Daiki looked directly into my eyes and told me something I will remember forever. Loneliness poisons the blood worse than any poison. When you know someone is waiting for you, your body finds the strength to keep living.
My friend, if you're listening to my voice right now while sitting in an empty room, if you wake up every day feeling that your life has already passed and that only emptiness remains ahead of you, please stop for a moment. Don't turn off this video. I know how frightening and painful it is to admit your loneliness to yourself, but you are not alone. There are millions of us locked inside our neat, clean apartments. Subscribe to this channel and become part of our community. And right now, go down to the comments and simply write what city you're from and what you dream about. Tell us your story. Let's make this place our first step toward one another. Let us become your virtual Moai. I returned to my little rented house and couldn't sleep for a long time. Daiki's words kept echoing in my head. I realized that the modern world had made a terrible mistake. We chased independence. We bought separate apartments, drove our own cars, hid behind tall fences, sincerely believing that independence was happiness. And in the end, we built ourselves comfortable solitary cells. Our bodies, our biology, shaped over thousands of years, perceive social isolation as a mortal threat. When we're alone, our brains subconsciously decide that we've fallen away from the group, and therefore we're vulnerable. They begin producing stress hormones continuously, damaging our blood vessels, joints, and immune system. That's why my hands were trembling. My body was literally crying out for human warmth. But realizing the problem is only half the journey. The real question was different. How the hell do you make friends when you're almost 70? How do you create your own Moai if you've been a closed-off person your entire life and all your old connections disappeared long ago? I was scared. Scared of imposing on someone. Scared of rejection. Scared of looking ridiculous. I started with the simplest, tiniest step I could think of. I remembered that in Japan, the tea ceremony isn't simply about drinking tea. It's a way of slowing down time and sharing a moment with another person. I needed an excuse, a tool that could help me break the ice. I ordered a genuine, traditional Japanese cast-iron Tetsubin teapot from Amazon. You know, one of those heavy black teapots with a beautiful textured pattern that keeps heat for an incredibly long time. By the way, so you don't have to search for it, I've left a link to the exact same teapot in the description below this video. It's not just cookware, it's something people naturally want to gather around. When the teapot arrived, I brewed some fragrant green tea, put a few cookies on a plate, and knocked on my neighbor's door, another elderly widower with whom I'd spent years exchanging nothing more than a dry nod of the head. My palms were sweating when he opened the door. I simply said, "I bought a new teapot. It's too big for one person. Would you like to keep me company?" He looked at me for several seconds, and I was already preparing to apologize and run away. But suddenly, his shoulders relaxed, his face softened, and he quietly replied, "I'd love to." That evening, we sat on the veranda for 3 hours. We drank tea from that heavy cast-iron teapot, warming our old hands, and we talked. We talked about our children, the past, our fears, and at some point, I physically felt the tension that had lived inside my chest for years beginning to dissolve. My breathing became deep and steady. My body finally received the signal, "You are safe. You are not alone." A week later, another neighbor joined our tea, then another. We didn't do anything extraordinary. We simply gathered twice a week, brewed tea in my Tetsubin, played board games, or just sat quietly watching the sunset. We became a real living Moai. We became that invisible network that catches a person when they fall. If one of us didn't come out of the house in the morning, we went to check if everything was okay. If someone was sick, we brought them groceries.
And do you know what happened to my body? That so-called age-related decline that doctors had described as inevitable stopped. My panic attacks disappeared. I started sleeping 8 hours without waking up in anxiety. I had the strength to walk long distances again. And one day, while playing in the yard with a neighbor's dog, I caught myself laughing as loudly and sincerely as that fisherman Daiki had laughed. I felt alive again. I understood the greatest wisdom of Japanese Ikigai, the sense of purpose that gives us a reason to open our eyes every morning. Your Ikigai doesn't have to be a great achievement, a world-changing discovery, or enormous wealth. Most often, Ikigai is simply another person. It's knowing that at 3 p.m. your friends will come over and you need to put the kettle on the stove. Don't believe those who say that after 60 it's too late to change, too late to make friends, too late to love. Your life, your health, and your longevity are not hidden inside a medicine cabinet filled with pills. They are hidden in the people around you. Don't wait for someone to knock on your door. Buy a beautiful teapot. Bake a simple cake. Call an old friend, or simply smile at your neighbor. Take the first step. Create your own Moai. And I promise you, you'll be amazed at how quickly your body responds to human warmth. It will shed years, straighten your shoulders, and you will once again feel that incredible, forgotten taste for life.